You look like you have a busy day and a busy week and a lot of fun items, and we're just talking about the colder weather that's kind of moved in here, but I guess by this weekend it'll warm back up. But I'm going to talk to you today about how we've utilized technology at J.B. Hunt to not only disrupt who we are as a company, but really disrupt supply chain. My name is Eric McGee. I'm Executive Vice President. I'm responsible for highway services at J.B. Hunt, which for those of you that don't know, it's our brokerage, which is ICS, and our traditional truck line, which is JBT. Been there 24 years, worked in all aspects of our company. And I'll tell you, when I started at J.B. Hunt, you would not have really likened us as a technology leader. I'd say we were definitely a laggard. We didn't want to be on the bleeding edge of much technology related. But we were a great trucking company. One of the largest, if not the largest, in North America at the time, picking up freight, delivering it. But a lot has changed over the last 20 plus years, and especially in the last 5 years with technology and a lot of investments that's gone into that. And I'll talk about some of that. I'm going to talk about one of our fastest growing products now and how technology has allowed us to even bring that to the market today. That's what I'm going to end on. But I'm going to talk about just the DNA of disruption, because if you aren't afraid to disrupt yourself, someone else will disrupt you. And that's something that we've learned as a company, and we didn't want to be the one being disrupted. We wanted to be the one out there disrupting. And so trucking is one that traditionally can be slow to change. And there's a lot of our competitors out there that we would have competed against if you put up our peer set 20 years ago. That really hasn't changed a lot. They're still doing the same things that they did 20 years ago, and they do a great job of it. And maybe they found their niche. But we are a growth company. Our investors expect us to grow. And if you're going to grow, you have to continue to build products and services that your customers need and want. You have to anticipate what those things are. Supply chain has changed so much, and everyone in this room can understand the importance of supply chain, especially over the last 3 years going through COVID. If you order anything off Amazon, which we all do inside this room, you know now how you want to see something that's supposed to be delivered on Tuesday, and you want to know where it's at. Used to, you'd order something and say it delivered between 7 and 21 days. I can tell you right now, today's consumer will not allow that at all. And so all that backs itself up into supply chain in terms of visibility and understanding where that product is at any given moment. And it has to be enabled by technology. And so I'm going to talk today about our 360 platform, which we are the leading platform, largest platform inside supply chain, and very proud of what it's offered to our customers and to the carrier community, and how we've done things a little bit different. So we'll go ahead and hit the first slide. I want to talk about just the DNA of disruption. So you got to think about us. In 1989, we were the largest trucker in North America, over 6,000 trucks. And Mike Haverty from the Burlington Northern and J.B. Hunt got together and decided we were going to try to attack transportation in a different way. We were going to utilize the railroad and trucking, combine those aspects, and be able to do something a little different. The rail were going to move the line hauls, the trucking was going to move the end miles, the beginning and the end miles, and we were going to put that product together. At that time, a lot of people thought that couldn't be done, thought those people in Arkansas were crazy. I read articles where they literally said, what are those crazy folks in Arkansas doing? And now today, it represents over half our revenue and operating income, and it's built a $20 billion business inside supply chain. So it ended up being a very successful business for our customers, and in a world where you want to be environmentally conscious, there's no better way to be environmentally conscious than to move a truckload off the road and put it on the rail. But being disruptive, you have to be willing to disrupt yourselves. And again, go back to the fact that we were the largest trucker in the nation, and now we're building this new product that literally is competing with ourselves. We're now going to the customer and say, hey, I've got a better way for you to move that product from Atlanta to Chicago. It's not on the truck that moved it for you last week, which was my truck. It's now moving it with this combination of truck and rail. And to do that, we had to set our truck to the side. We had to put that truck to the side and figure out something different to do with it, which we did over time. We took the capital that we had steered toward trucking, and we started pushing it toward intermodal and those trucking miles on the front end and the back end, and really moved those drivers in that direction. We also deployed that capital into dedicated contract services, which is one of our 5 divisions today that's over $2 billion. So we found a different way to deploy that instead of random trucking, and really leaned inside intermodal. But that was a tough time for a company, and you had to have faith. You had to have faith that you were doing the right thing for the customer, and you were listening to what would provide value, and that's what we did inside intermodal. So if you click to the next slide, you move along the evolution of our company, and I talked about deploying the capital away from the truck line, and we deployed that capital into dedicated. And just a quick note for what dedicated is, it's effectively, if you see the Anheuser-Busch trucks out on the road with the Clydesdales on the side, that's private fleets for Anheuser-Busch. Those trucks, those trailers could very well be J.B. Hunt trucks. We have a lot of those out there, but those are dedicated capacity to Anheuser-Busch. Move routine lanes, static business for a customer, and it's a great driving job because it's very repetitive. Well, as we moved into more dedicated and we moved more into intermodal, we moved away from traditional trucking. We did more intermodal, more dedicated, and our customers that had all the truck moves that intermodal didn't actually answer came to us and said, hey, we need you to have a truck answer. Well, one of the things, again, we're still a large trucker. We're a trucker by DNA. That's how we started. The founder of our company was a trucker. And now we came up with a different way to say, you know what, we can provide those truckload services by doing something a little different and becoming a broker. And you don't have to own the truck, and the driver doesn't necessarily have to be an employee of your company. But if you have a load in North Dakota that needs to go to South Dakota, why should I run a truck from Illinois all the way over there and get it if that's not my expertise or my niche, when I can call and find a truck in North Dakota that just wants to do nothing but run back and forth from North Dakota to South Dakota. So if you think about service and value, that's going to be a better service, value, and price for the customer. And so that's how we created ICS. We created a brokerage business inside a traditional trucking company. So talked about intermodal. Intermodal effectively for us today is running a box network. We run a trailer. Our customers buy a trailer. We manage a trailer network throughout the United States, throughout North America. Those miles are powered either by our truck, someone else's truck, but mostly by the railroad. But what our expertise is with 110,000 trailers is balancing that network, balancing and moving those boxes around and make sure they're in place for our customers. Talked about our brokerage business that we brought on. The brokerage business allowed us to understand the power of the small carrier. If you go back 20 years ago, J.B. Hunt probably would have wanted nothing to do with brokerage or the small carrier community. They were competitors. We didn't see a roadway that they would become partners or enable the growth of our business, or us help enable their growth. But we learn now the power of that small carrier and how much sheer capacity is in the marketplace and how we can unlock that capacity with technology. And then we talked about 360, our $500 million investment in the platform and creating that marketplace where shippers and carriers interact. And so now you think about what the last piece is. We created 360 Box. So if I talk to you just a second about how transportation is broken up. The dry van space market for rough numbers is about $400 billion, this space right here. For the largest customers, they require a drop trailer. And when I say a drop trailer, it's a box left at their facility because of the way they manufacture or their production needs that box to come in. They load it, they move it out, put it on the lot, and another one comes in. They have, for their labor controls, for their manufacturing production, it has to be very fluid. And so they can't really wait for a truck to show up, back into the dock, load it for 2 hours, and then pull out. They have to do this in a very fluid, planned progress. And they do that with a drop trailer. Historically, drop trailers have been provided only by the largest carriers. Werner, J.B. Hunt, Swift, Schneider, the largest of large. And you're very beholden to that carrier's capacity. So go back in time. When I had 6,000 trucks, I probably had 20,000 of these trailers at our shippers. Well, if I had a plan that day to pick up 6,000 loads with my 6,000 trucks and one broke down, well, I'm going to miss a load. I didn't have another answer. I'll talk to you in a second how that's changed today. But then let me talk about the other side of the market. The other $200 billion, that's about a $200 billion space. The other $200 billion of the trucking market is what we call live load. Live load is predominantly made up of small shippers that they don't have enough product or density that they need that constant flow of equipment. They may ship a load on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and they just need a truck to show up sometime in the morning, pick up the load, and that's it. And so a lot more shippers, but because it's live, you don't need as much capital. If you're a trucker, you need one truck and one trailer. This here, go back to what I said. We needed 6,000 trucks and 20,000 trailers because they were all strewn out at all of our shippers and receivers. For the small carrier community, that capital is very prohibitive. So in the small carrier community, they had one truck and one trailer, really focused on the $200 billion that is live load. So what we've done now with our technology, go ahead and hit the next slide, is we really did something different. If you think about our truck line, which is one of the business segments that I run, for 5 consecutive years, we did $400 million in revenue. What we did is said, wait a second, why don't we take those trailers, put it on our 360 platform, put it inside the marketplace, and offer that carrier capacity to our biggest shippers that need that drop trailer capacity. For that small carrier community, they have never had access to that drop trailer fleet. They didn't have access to those large shippers. They didn't have the capital to be able to invest in those boxes. And so what we did is we took the live market and the drop market and basically combined them inside our technology to create a more efficient transportation network. And so if you look at what we're going to do this year in drop trailer business, which is our 360 box, what we went from just a couple of years ago of $400 million for 5 consecutive years, we're going to do $1.1 billion this year. It's going to be over $700 million worth of growth in a couple of years. For our customers, what that technology has unlocked is their access to say, I can still get that box from you that I've always gotten, but now instead of your finite 6,000 trucks, I can go through your technology to get access to 933,000 trucks to find the right truck at the right time at the right cost. And so that's bringing a lot more value to our customers and a lot more flexibility, which is what's fueled our ability to grow. So I wanted to leave you with that last piece and how all that culminated into what's our fastest growing product right now at J.B. Hunt that we're really excited about. But I think I left time for questions. Yep, good. So we've got a microphone here if anyone has questions. If you don't, that's all right too. Yeah, we got one right over here. Hey, that's a great question. So the question's geared around, does this help mitigate some of the driver shortage inside the market? Absolutely. A lot of that wasted time I talked about, 6.5 hours to 11, is spent sitting somewhere looking for a load. And so 2 things. One, the technology allows them to find a load closer to them so that you don't have as much empty wasted miles. But secondly, that small carrier community now having access to the drop trailer that they didn't have before, they can now go into a shipper and pick that up preloaded and take off. So they're in and out in 30 minutes instead of 2 hours. So that's an hour and a half put back on the road for them to drive, and that's how they get paid. And so yes, you effectively have gained an hour and a half drive time on the road there. You duplicate that and you're gaining capacity inside the market, which mitigates the driver shortage. So that's a great question. What risk have we discovered since we've gone through and done this disruption? You learn a lot of things along the way. By and large, most carriers are honest, good, hardworking carriers out there, but you also find there's a lot of crooks out there too that are trying to figure out how to get into your system and either mimic a carrier or try to figure out some scam, how to get paid, not do the shipment, how to maybe divert the shipment and steal the shipment. So I'd say you have to try to stay one step ahead of some of the crooks out there, but that's still a small percentage. So I'd say that's one thing. One of the biggest things we learned here, we had questions about, think about all that capacity that has one truck and one trailer. Okay, if they're going to get into our platform, what are they going to do with their trailer? Where are they going to put the trailer at? And is that going to be something, are they going to have to go back and get their trailer? So very early on when we started this, we were concerned that if we got someone to take a load, say from Bentonville to Chicago, well, we got to get them a load from Chicago back to Bentonville, which is not entirely impossible. If you have a platform that's doing over $2 billion in freight, there's a good chance they can look inside the platform, find a load to get them back. But what we've learned is there's a significant amount of capacity out there that is finding this to be a better way to access freight, so they're not reinvesting back in their equipment. So if they're going to go grow their business, they're going and buying another truck, but they're not driving another trailer. They're just going to come run inside our network and run our trailers. Or if their trailer is damaged or it's aged and they have to get rid of it, they're not going to invest in it. They're just going to let it go and then come run inside our equipment. So at one point we did a survey on our capacity, and 40% of our capacity was power only. That's effectively all they did. So what's ended up happening, another risk someone could say, is when we started doing this, we did a launch in Atlanta. We literally had two of the largest truckers call Craig Harper and basically say, you guys are crazy. This is not going to make any sense. You know, capacity is not going to leave their trailer. You're going to have to get them back. You're not going to be able to balance this. Well, now those two carriers, if you read their earnings releases, this is where they're growing. This is where they're focused. And so you could say, well, is that a risk? I say it's not, because if I have 5 competitors that are building a box network similar, what we're doing is we're giving more confidence to the masses of capacity that they've got a trailer network they can run in. If I happen not to have the load, they can jump into Snyder's version of this and go run. So it gives them confidence to invest in the driver side, invest in the truck side, but they don't have to go buy a trailer, because between me and 3 or 4 others, they're going to have a livelihood that they can maintain. Okay, got time for one more question. See one in the back. I can't see you for the lights, but I see a hand waving. Well, I don't know the terminology of stack, but are you talking about just how we match? Okay, so there's various ways that it comes together. So we have, first off, our carriers have a profile, so they can go in and they can enter favorites. So if a carrier has ever ran a shipment, it may prompt that carrier for that load. If they've entered in a favorite of a lane or an origin or destination, it may prompt them for that load. But it also recognizes where they're at. So if they have tracking on the system, it'll understand where they are, and it'll make recommendations to freight that's in their area. If they put in they need to go to a certain direction, it will send freight to them that's there. So various historic ways of looking and real-time location-based ways of saying where are you at, where you want to go, what have you historically liked, and then here's what we would offer up to you. We have routing guide technology, which means if you're a carrier and say you want to build your own tour and you want to every day you want to get a shipment from Atlanta to Charlotte, and then that evening a load from Charlotte back to Atlanta, and that's the shipments that you want, you can build a routing guide and just have that continuous move. So there's different ways that it comes together, but artificial intelligence, technology, history, and then we have a lot of people that are experts that help augment that as well. Hey, thank you for your time. You have a great afternoon.